Hi guys, welcome back to AJ versus Narc. I'm Lottie and I'm sharing my experiences being in an ongoing custody battle with my Narc, hoping my experiences help you in some way. So today's video is a little bit story time. I want to recount my experience being in initial hearing, which in the UK is called a dispute resolution. So it's the first hearing that you have after you've submitted your application and the court's saying, okay, we're ready to see you. And usually this first hearing is to see whether you can come to any sort of agreement with the Narc or with your ex. And I don't know if this happens often, because in this particular hearing, they don't actually consider your evidences. I did actually submit some of my evidences just to support my application, but I don't believe they may not have even read it, or if they did, that they're not considerate and they're not taking it into any consideration. They're really just there to see, okay, now you're both at court, can you come to agreement? And if not, then okay, we're gonna have to do something. What's the next steps? So of course, with a Narc, you're not going to come to an agreement. Absolutely not. But it's just the process you have to follow. So when I went to, so I've done 2 initial hearings. And on both occasions, one actually was with a man, and the second most recent one, which was actually, in my opinion, the worst, yeah, that was a horrible experience for me. And I'm sure the lady is a nice lady. I'm not saying these people are evil. I actually have a theory, and my theory is that I think they're trying to like test mothers. And I think, because look, let's keep it real. There are a lot, okay, I don't know because I've not done research. So let me take back a lot. But I do know of a number of women who are using their kids as pawns, and they're bitter. The man has moved on, they want to get on with their life, but they still want to have, like, to be involved in the children's life, and the mother is bitter. And I think the court system is aware of that. And in my opinion, and in my personal experience, I think that is what the reason why the judge was quite, I feel, hostile to me on both occasions. And again, going back to my first experience with it, with the chap, the first one, maybe he had a little bit of mercy on me, because like I was probably, my daughter was 6 months, so you know, there's still hormones going in your body, so he wasn't as bad as the woman, the female judge. But in the end, he was cool. I really like this judge. In the end. But yeah, the initial hearing, I think he put me through my paces to see, am I difficult? Am I bitter? Am I reasonable? And also, sorry, I know I'm going all over the place, but I do think another of my theories is that the judges want to see if they can kind of use their power to force you to go down a path. So, you know, if I believe that if I conceded and the judge was like, well, why don't you let your ex have 50-50, or why don't you let, and I'll be like, okay, yes, judge. Then they'll be like, okay, great. And they've done their job and they've got their money, done, case closed, I've got a consent order. So I think they do try to intimidate slightly as well in the initial hearing, to see whether they can waiver you some way. So based on what I went through, I would definitely hold my course. But I will come back to how to manage the judge at a later point. So yes, so I had prepared my bundle, or my little file, and which included my application. And as part of your application, you have to provide a copy for the courts and also a copy for the Narc. So I followed all the procedure and I did that. And as the respondent, if the Narc wanted to say anything or respond, then again, he was supposed to provide the court and myself a copy of whatever his stance is. So the court, of course, got their copy. He had his copy beforehand, but I did not get my copy until on the day. And he decided to bring a huge wad of information, not filed in any particular way, just printed out and given to me. And again, if that happens to you, I would say definitely do not panic, because the judge will not consider it at this point, and they will consider evidences in subsequent hearings. But still, it's still overwhelming. It still was a lot, because although they won't consider it, I do feel, based on some of the things the judge said, that they had a glance over the information. So I did read. Unfortunately, our hearing started, even though we had a 10 o'clock hearing, there are probably 5 other, maybe 8 other families that also have the same slot. So they will slot you in at different points. So because we came in later, I got a chance to read through with his response, which of course was filled with lies, quite hurtful lies as well. Like he had accused me of being abused by family members, and as a result of that, I've got anger issues, and it was very hurtful. And I think the shock of it, the fact that I'm literally reading it just before I'm about to go in, like that definitely destabilized me slightly. And I can't remember if I did shed a tear, but I may have laughed, because I either cry or I laugh. So I may have laughed, but it hit me, because I was like, my goodness. And of course, if you look at it from the perspective of the judge or anybody outside, they've got to be neutral, and they've got to consider all your information. So he is making some outlandish lies about, you know, how abusive I am and how terrible and how I've been scarred. And like, what have they got to do? Realistically, they've got to at least explore it. So it's kind of, it feels a little bit like an innocent, a guilty until proven innocent. And so anyways, and as I said, yes, he used some really horrible lies against me, but he also used his usual, which is that I've got anger management, I've got mental health, I'm not fit to look after our daughter. And again, so the judge asked me, and what he would do, he would take an email that I sent. So I sent an email making peace, like saying, look, trying to acknowledge that, look, we don't see things the same way. I have said certain things that are not nice, you said things that are not nice, but let's kind of wipe the slate clean and go forward and try and do our best for our daughter, which I think is a good thing to do. But of course, the Narc took that email and said, look, here it is, this is proof that she's admitting she's got anger issues and she's done wrong and blah blah blah. And when the judge came in and spoke, I don't know if she read it. She seemed like she must have at least read it. She was like, because she was like, yes, you have admitted to doing these things wrong. So, and I was like, and then he had listed out as well, and sorry if I'm jumping all over the place, but he had listed out some of the things that I had done that shows that I'm a bad parent. He listed out 5 different occasions, 5 different events, and like some of his events go back years ago. He listed out, and of course he'd taken a true event and embellish it and make it sound way worse than it was. And she literally was like, okay, what about this point? Is this true? Is this true? And she literally was like, she said to me, what about this occasion? What about this occasion? So I was like, I just responded. I was like, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's an embellishment. That's a lie. You know, and I think throughout the whole, and I must say, this behavior towards me was very different to the Narc. So she, like, when he was speaking, in fact, again, I don't know what the protocol is, but I was the applicant, he was the respondent, and he got to speak first. And in my opinion, I thought, my understanding was, so please, if anybody has an experience or understanding, please put comments below, because I will read it, because I am going through this journey, and as you all know, I have no legal backing, so I'm kind of learning as I go along. So if any of you can understand what I'm saying and can clarify what was happening, please share. But as I said, in my first experience, I was the respondent and he was the applicant, and I noticed that he got to speak first and explain what he's here, what he's looking for. So I was expecting the same in the most recent hearing or proceedings, because I was the applicant. But I was just like pushed to the side, and it was like, okay, so respondent, yes, what are your concerns? And just giving all the time. And then when it was turned to me, it was like, right, okay, so he has said this, he has said that, what are your thoughts? You know, so it was a lot more intense and accusing me, and I felt like I was more defending myself. And then to be outright, even though yes, we're not really supposed to be considering the evidences at this point, she still decided to put me on the spot and say, well, is this true? Did this happen? Did that happen? And I had to say whether yes or no. And as mentioned before, because some of it is true, I had to say, you know, I had to clarify. I don't want to say, oh, it's a lie, because then if it comes down the line and I'm like, well, this is what happened, I was like, well, they could go back and say, well, you said this is a lie. How can we trust you? So it was such a, and of course, I had not anticipated it. So I did what I thought was the best thing that I could do. And I guess that comes down to the advice. So I think any parent, male or female, I think you should be prepared to be put through your paces in the initial hearing. As a mother, as I said, I definitely felt that there was a different energy. It's a bit more accusing, and you're a bit more having to defend. And also you may be trying pushed over, like to see whether they can get you to fold. So from my experience, I would definitely say, you know, hold your ground. If what you're doing is in your child's best interest, remember that and don't be swayed. Remain calm and even and really polite. But hold your ground. And I noticed that because even though because in this particular hearing, I was trying to get my daughter's passport back because I had not seen it, and we had booked a holiday, so, and he was just holding on to it. So that was also part of the application. And initially the judge was like, well, we're not considering that. And I was like, we've got a holiday in a couple of months. In my head, I was like, we really need to consider it. But if I argued with her, that would have counted against me. So I just waited, let him say what he had to say, let her question me. And then afterwards, I just brought her back to the application and say, well, you know, I do appreciate your stance on things, but, you know, my application was a child arrangement application and a specific issue, and in particular blah 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 blah, and I detailed it. And thankfully, even though she looked very abrupt, she let me speak. And then when she'd finished hearing me speak, she was like, well, it's a fair point. And then she addressed that issue, and I left that hearing with what I was looking for, which is looking into so that hearing, I actually got approval to apply for a passport, which all of a sudden became lost. Apply for the passport, which now is in my care. So and of course I'm very fair. If for whatever reason he needed the passport, he will get it, but the passport is now stated to reside in my care, which is what I was looking for. I definitely found that answering the questions, being polite, waiting. So there were times I was answering and the Narc would jump in, and I didn't try and get into her back and forth. I would just wait until the point where the judge was like, well, hold on, you spoke, let her speak. But that's what I mean. Right at the beginning, it seemed very pro him. But by being calm, by being polite, by being grateful. So when the judge was like, okay, we will consider this passport thing, I was like, thank you. And, you know, really, even at the end, even though I was burning, I was like, thank you. Because at the end of the day, even though she put me through my paces and she made me feel a certain way, I still left with what I was looking for. And that's another key thing. Don't get swayed by anything. Just remember, what is your goal? If you come out with your goal, you've done a good job. So yeah, I feel like this video is so all over the place, but I hope you can get the key principles. Yes, the judge, I think on both occasions, they were out to catch me out. They were out to see whether they could get me into argument. But at the end of the day, this person accused me of having anger issues. If I really had anger issues with the way this judge was talking to me, I would have snapped. Something would have come out, but she got nothing. She got calm, polite, nice temperament, and I felt proud of myself. And you know, in the subsequent hearings, she was a lot more respondent to me, and a lot more. There were a couple of times when she had to put Narc in his place, and I was like, mini fist pump. So yeah, that was my experience. And please, as I said already, if you have anything that's, you know, would be used to this community, please share below. I look forward to reading, and I'll see you soon.